today we're going to be doing Avatar: The Last Airbender video essay. Again, I have been, this has been in progress for so long. I wrote out the script to this in September. So it's been a month since I finished the script, and I haven't tried to film since I had the script. Also, speaking of the scripting that I'm doing, because it's in the same book, I am working on my Supernatural video essay. I'm only on season 12 in my actual watch through of it, so it will be a little longer until I'm ready to finish scripting it out and recording it, but I have been scripting it out as I've been watching it and taking notes and stuff. So that is in progress. So is my Teen Wolf rewatch. I'm taking notes on that, and I'll be scripting that out after I finish my rewatch of that. I'm almost done with season 4 right now. So hopefully those two will be coming soon. So this video is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is, if you don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender is it's an animated Nickelodeon TV show. It's technically for kids because it's on Nickelodeon. So it starts out with the world is split into these 4 nations: the Earth Kingdom, the Water Tribe, the Fire Nation, and the Air Nomads.
Water, Earth, Fire, Air.
Which, they're not actually nomads, but they're called the Air Nomads, but they have homes. I don't know, it's annoying. But so they're all just vibing, and then the Fire Nation decided that they wanted to attack the Air Nomads.
Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
For some reason, I don't know, they wanted power, more power than they had, I guess. And so they wiped out the entire population of the Air Nomads, except for one person, and that happened to be the Avatar. The Avatar is the only person that can be the master of all 4 of the elements. So some people from Water Tribe can be waterbenders. Some people from, you know what I mean. So they are the only person that can be the master of all 4: Earth, Water, Fire, and Air. And it cycles through. And at this point in time, it was the Avatar. They wanted to kill the Avatar, and yeah, wipe out the Air Nomads so that they could gain power. But they didn't kill the Avatar. The Avatar disappeared. So
only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
Everybody kind of thought that the Avatar died, because if the Avatar dies while in the Avatar state, which is I don't really know how to describe what the Avatar state is, but if the Avatar dies while in the Avatar state, then there will be no more Avatar. It can't be reincarnated. So I guess that's kind of what they all thought happened. And then 100 years later, after this original attack from the Fire Nation, these 2 teenage kids find the Avatar, the Air Nomad person, kid, he's a kid, in an iceberg. He is frozen in an iceberg with his pet air bison.
100 years passed, and my brother and I discovered the new Avatar, an airbender named Aang. And although his airbending skills are great, he has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone.
So now their job is to save the world from the Fire Nation.
But I believe Aang can save the world.
Who, at this point in time, is also, the Fire Nation has wiped out all of where are they from? I always forget. Southern Water Tribe. they wiped out like all of the waterbenders from the Southern Water Tribe, and they're like taking over the Earth Kingdom now too. So they're taking over. First thing I'm going to talk about is the characters. So I think I started out like this in my Julie and the Phantoms video. But so the main characters, we have Sokka, Katara, and Aang. Those are the three like original main characters that we get right off the bat. So Sokka starts out very like misogynistic. He gives the vibes of that one clip, I think it's from Ben 10, where the guy's like, you have to treat a car how you treat a woman.
You have to treat a car like you treat a woman.
Go on.
No, I sense I've made a mistake of some kind.
It just, he gives that energy. I feel like he'd say that and then get in trouble with Katara. And basically his entire development is like becoming a feminist and like not being misogynistic anymore. So the like main kind of original trigger to this is Suki. Suki is part of the Suki's part of the Kyoshi warriors in the Earth Kingdom. We will talk about her later. They have a run-in in season or book 1. The seasons are called book 1, book 2, and book 3. So they have a run-in in book 1. And that is kind of the turning point in Sokka's character.
There's no time to say goodbye.
What about I'm sorry?
For what?
I treated you like a girl when I should have treated you like a warrior.
And then, after all this, I think still in book 1, because book 1 is water, so they are helping Aang master the element of water and waterbending. And then book 2 is earth, and so they're helping him master earthbending. And then book 3 is fire, and they're helping him master firebending. So each like book is him mastering a different element, and them helping him do that, which is very interesting. It's a very cool way to set it up, and it's effective, and it's, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. But, so in book 1, to like help Aang learn waterbending, or master waterbending, they go to the Northern Water Tribe because, again, the Southern Water Tribe, all of its benders were wiped out by the Fire Nation like years ago. Except for one. Katara is a waterbender, but since she didn't have, like, none of her family were waterbenders, all of the waterbenders in her tribe were wiped out, she didn't have anybody to teach her that, so she isn't super mastered in waterbending. So she can't just teach Aang alone, they have to find somebody else to teach him. So that's why they go to the Northern Water Tribe, and they meet Yue, which is another big turning point in Sokka's character development and his arc. So Yue, her character is interesting. She's a princess in the Northern Water Tribe, and she's like engaged to be married. Her backstory is that she was a stillborn, and they put her in like the Spirit Oasis pond and like prayed to the moon spirit because the waterbenders are like not controlled, but like, you know, by the moon, by the tides. The tides are controlled by the moon, and so waterbenders are controlled by the moon. And so this like spirit oasis, it holds koi fish that hold the spirits of the sun and moon. So there's like, it's kind of like yin and yang, and it's like literally the imagery is yin and yang. I think they might actually bring up yin and yang when they're talking about it at some point. But so that's like the entire thing, is yin and yang, sun and moon, whatever. These koi fish in this spirit oasis pond. So she's like put in there, and they pray to the moon spirit, and she is blessed by the moon spirit, and she survives, and she starts breathing, she starts crying. And then, so when we go to the Northern Water Tribe, the Fire Nation invades, and so Sokka has like a little romance with Yue, even though she's engaged, because it's like an arranged marriage. She doesn't actually love this guy, he's a douchebag. So Sokka and Yue have like a little romance thing, and while they're here, the Fire Nation invades because I think they find out that the Avatar is here, and so they want to like capture the Avatar and kill him, because that's their entire goal, is to kill the Avatar. So they invade, and then they kill the moon spirit fish. And Yue gives over her life. Like, she touches the fish, and then her spirit goes into the fish, because she has a piece of the moon spirit in her. I don't know. It's a very confusing and weird thing. But yeah, she becomes the moon.
My first girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
So after the whole Yue fiasco, Sokka becomes very protective, and like eventually when we meet back up with Suki, that shows a lot, because Suki is, you know, the first woman that he has been with or will be with or whatever since Yue, and so he's very scared of losing her the same way or similar way to how he lost Yue, so he becomes very protective, and it's like a pretty decent plot point for like one episode. But yeah, Sokka is like super like oblivious, like worldwide, like he's very dumb. Like they make fun of him all the time, and he makes stupid jokes and like whatever. But he is very, very, very smart. They literally call him the idea guy at some point. Like, he makes all of their plans, he comes up with all of their ideas, or not all, but most of them. And he's a very smart person. So moving on from Sokka is Katara. Katara is Sokka's younger sister. She's about 2 years younger than him, so she's like 14 at the start of this, and then Sokka is like 16. As I mentioned earlier, she's the only waterbender left in the Southern Water Tribe. She is a very good example of a strong female lead. She doesn't have like her arc isn't getting a significant other, like getting a boyfriend or whatever, like a lot of, especially with like Nickelodeon and like kids shows and that stuff, like a lot of the female characters' arcs will be like getting with the guy that they had a crush on, but it was never really specifically, intentionally, overwhelmingly established that Katara had a crush on Aang and really wanted to be with Aang. That was never a thing. Like, we know that Aang had a crush on Katara, but that was never super overwhelmingly present with Katara, and I do really like that. It just kind of happened. It wasn't a huge plot point, and I do like that. She's very badass. She's such a strong female lead. I love her. She's like the mom of the group, which I relate to her so much. I think there's a part where Sokka says that like when he thinks of like his mom, because their mom died when they were really young, when he thinks of like their mom, he thinks of Katara.
I'm gonna tell you something crazy. I never told anyone this before, but honestly, I'm not sure I can remember what my mother looked like. It really seems like my whole life, Katara's been the one looking out for me. She's always been the one that's there. And now, when I try to remember my mom, Katara's is the only face I can picture.
she's just been that woman in his life taking care of him, and like even though she's younger, like taking care of him and being there for him, and you know, like all of that type of motherly stuff. She's very much mom of the group. So yeah, I relate to her a lot. She can get annoying. Which, I mean, that's, you could say the same about literally like any other character ever, but she can get annoying sometimes, especially about the Zuko thing. Like, she was pretty annoying about that, but also like it's very understandable why she was annoying about the Zuko thing. We'll get into the Zuko thing later. And then our last like initial main character, we have Aang. Aang is the Avatar. So he's 12 years old. He is a child. He found out that he was the Avatar when he was 12. Usually they wait until they're 16 to tell them. But because of everything going on with the Fire Nation and like the impending war, this show is about war, they told him sooner than they usually would. He never wanted to be the Avatar. Like, he never wanted that in his life. He just wanted to be Aang. But so he had this like mentor, Gyatso, and he basically taught him like everything he knew about airbending, and they were super close. But the rest of like the elders or whatever, I don't really know, like the rest of the monks, because the air nomads are like Buddhist monks. They thought that Gyatso was too close to Aang to be his mentor for mastering the other elements and being his mentor through being the Avatar. So they decided that they were going to send him to the other air temple. I can't remember which one it is. Aang didn't want that, so he ran away, flew away with his little sky bison. And I think I might be wrong about this, but there's like a storm while he's running away or whatever in like the middle of the night. A storm hits and he like crashes or something, and so that's how he got frozen in an iceberg with his bison, whose name is Appa. I have a hat with Appa on it. I can't believe I forgot Appa's name. But so yeah, him and Appa get stuck frozen in a block of ice. And while this storm is happening and they're getting frozen in an iceberg, the Fire Nation is attacking the air nomads and killing them, wiping them all out. So yeah, this is a really, really fun kids Nickelodeon show about war and genocide and child soldiers. He starts off very like innocent. When we first see him, like the first thing he says is like, "Hey, wanna go penguin sledding?" Like, he comes out of this iceberg after 100 years, and the first thoughts that he has are, man, this chick is pretty, when he sees Katara, and let's go penguin sledding. Why are they sledding on penguins? The world may never know. So he starts off very, very innocent, and like his progression as a character is that we slowly watch him lose that innocence throughout the 3 seasons. But it never fully goes away, and I do really, really like that about his character, is that he loses a lot of his innocence, but it never fully goes away. He's a very complex and full circle character, and I really, really like his character. He lost so much of his childhood innocence, and like he had to grow up so fast, and his story is very sad. Cause like he comes back after 100 years. He doesn't know it's been 100 years, and he finds out that his entire people are dead, and he couldn't do anything about it, and he wasn't there to protect them because he ran away because he didn't want to be the Avatar. And that's just, I don't know, it's sad. His backstory is very sad. Next we have Toph. Toph is actually one of, if not the only character that actually gets a last name. Her last name is Beifong. She is from the Earth Kingdom. She's this like 12-year-old blind girl. She comes from like a powerful Earth Kingdom family. And so she is very, very secretly good at earthbending. Her parents don't know this because she is a master manipulator. She's like this 12-year-old little blind girl who's helpless and can't do anything in front of her parents. And then, come nighttime, she fights in an underground, like, boxing ring. Like an underground fight club. It's so funny because the first time we ever see her, like, they're, like, talking about her, and it's, like, the girl in white, like, the little girl in the white dress, and, oh, like, that's Toph Beifong. She's this little blind girl who comes from this, like, rich, powerful family. And then the first time we ever see her, like, really see her, she's just rocking a bunch of grown men's asses. Like, she is beating them to a pulp. And honestly, go her for that. Like, you know? So her thing is, like, she sees with her feet because she's blind, so she feels the vibrations in the ground to her feet, and that's how she, like, perceives the world around her. And that's how she's so good at bending. So, I don't know. Interesting. It's also a running gag in the show that everyone always forgets that she's blind.
When I was in town, I found something that you're not gonna like.
Well, it sounds like a sheet of paper, but I guess you're referring to what's on the sheet of paper.
It's a wanted poster of you.
Yes, really. Well then, what's this? I don't know! I mean, seriously, what's with you people? I'm blind! It's a wanted
Like, there are so many clips where it's just, like, there's, like, especially in season 3. Oh my gosh, season 3 does this a lot. She's another very, very strong female lead, and I love her. I love Toph. She joins the group in book 2, Earth, to teach Aang earthbending. And then she's with them throughout the rest of the show. And then we have Suki. I did say that I would talk about Suki later, and that was later. I love Suki. She's like one of my favorite human beings in any fictional show. So she comes back as like a recurring character in season 2. Again, we meet her in season 1 briefly for like one episode, the Kyoshi Warrior episode, but then we don't see her again until season 2. Yeah, and she becomes like a recurring regular character as of season 2. She's part of the Kyoshi Warriors, which is this group of female Earth Kingdom warriors who don't have like bending or anything, but they are really good at fighting. She is Sokka's like love interest, which she does kinda just come in to be Sokka's love interest. But she's so much more than that. Oh, I love Suki. She knows her worth. She's a badass. I love her. She's like my favorite character in the show. Her and Sokka are my favorites. So next we have the Fire Nation characters, which are super fun to talk about. They're very interesting. So first we have Azula. She is the daughter of the Fire Lord, Ozai. She like, her backstory is that she like never really got love from her mother, but she was her father's favorite, and like everybody knew that.
My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born.
She is fucking insane. She is psychotic. She scares me. Yeah. Like, this girl, yeah, she freaks me out. She's a very, very good character. I love her character, It's very interesting, and I love diving into like her psychology and like everything with that. She's not a true like villain, but she's still like a bad guy. Like she's an antagonist, but she's not a villain, I wouldn't say, because she's 14. But she's definitely an antagonist and crazy. But she's never like truly treated as just evil. She's very much just like a kid who went down the wrong path and went with the wrong people and turned out not in a good way, which we will talk about later, how she parallels Zuko in these ways. But next we have May and Ty Lee, which are Azula's best friends. They are also direct parallels to each other. Like, Azula and Zuko are a little less direct parallels to each other. May and Ty Lee are direct parallels. Not really, because they're like in the same friend group, but I don't know. Personality-wise, they're direct parallels to each other. May is super like grumpy and just done with everyone and everything all the time.
That is a nice trick.
Just take the bear.
She is very like kind and nice, and you know, when she wants to be like loving and stuff with Zuko, but not very often. She's loyal more to people and not sides, and I do think that that's really interesting about her. I love that about her character, is that she kind of flip-flops a lot, depending on what side her people are on. And then Ty Lee is like the opposite of her personality-wise. She is the definition of a ball of sunshine. She's super, super sweet, and she's like really sensitive, actually. She's just a happy little sunshine ball, and I love her, and I want to hug her. She grew up in like a family of like 6 sisters who all looked exactly like her, and she hated that. She hated just constantly being like kind of like connected to her sisters all the time, and just known as like, oh, another one of the girls that looks just like exactly the same. So she joins the circus because she wants to be different. Not like other girls, I guess. So now we have the character that inarguably has the best development of the entire show. Like, argue with the wall. You can say, oh, he doesn't have the best redemption arc ever, he doesn't have the best development of any character, but you cannot say he doesn't have the best development of the entire show, because he does. This is Zuko. I have mentioned him here and there. He is also the son of the Fire Lord. Well, Azula was the daughter of the Fire Lord. He's the son of the Fire Lord, so he is Azula's sister. He's 16. His backstory is that, like, he sat in on this meeting, because his dad is the Fire Lord, and so he sat in on a meeting about stuff to do and like with the Fire Nation and all that, and he didn't like the plans that like they were coming up with and that he was hearing, so he spoke up against it, and then they didn't like that, so he was forced to do an Agni Kai, which is like a firebending duel, and he thinks, oh, it's gonna be against the guy that I spoke up against, so that's not that bad. Then he finds out that no, his dad says, if you speak bad against my general or lieutenant or whatever he was at the time, then you speak bad against me. You have to Agni Kai with me. So, the rules of the Agni Kai are if you lose, you are banished from the Fire Nation. This is the Fire Lord's son. They do an Agni Kai. Zuko doesn't want to because it's his dad. But they do an Agni Kai. Obviously, Zuko loses because he's like, what, 14 at this point when this happened? And, like, it's his dad. He doesn't want to fight against his dad. And his dad is also the Fire Lord. So he loses. And then is banished from the Fire Nation. He has a scar on his face, like that's a part of his character. It's the scar on his face from that. His uncle Iroh, aka King, we love Iroh. We love Iroh. He goes with him, and Zuko's entire goal for the first like season and a half, 2 seasons, is to capture the Avatar and regain his honor, and therefore his father's love and acceptance and pride, I guess. Yeah, his backstory is really sad. He just wants his father's love, and then eventually over time, like this entire like season and a half, 2 seasons of trying to earn his father's love and acceptance and regain his honor, he realizes that the things that he has to do for his father's so-called love isn't worth it. It's not him, it's not who he wants to be. A thing that I do really, really, really like about his redemption is that it's a great representation of the fact that progress is not linear. There's so many times where we think that he's gonna like join Team Avatar is what we call it, but then reverts back to Azula and his father, and it's like such like a back and forth. And it's a huge, huge battle for him to, one, leave and even want to be redeemed, and 2, to actually become redeemed, especially by Katara. And I think Katara is a huge part in his redemption, which I will talk about a little later. But he fights like hell for it. He fights and fights and fights, and eventually he gets it. And then, yeah, he's a very, very good character. So the 2 main episodes that I think showcase his redemption are season 1, episode 13, and which is the Blue Spirit, and season 2, episode 7, which is Zuko alone. So we're going to talk about the Blue Spirit episode. The plot of the Blue Spirit episode is that the Fire Nation ends up capturing Aang, but Zuko wants to capture the Avatar so he can regain his honor and he can become a part of the Fire Nation again. So he goes in disguise and like rescues Aang so that he can be the one to return the Avatar and regain his honor, aka his father's love. And during Aang and Zuko's time together, they have like this conversation about how they could have been friends. They could have been friends if they met before the war, because Aang actually was good friends with the Fire Nation boy before the war. And Zuko ends up leaving and like setting Aang free instead of returning him to the Fire Nation. And I think this is a great way of hinting, because this was in season 1. I think this is a great way of hinting to the fact that Zuko doesn't really want to live his life the way that his father wants him to. And it strikes the question early on of like if there could be a future Aang and Zuko team up or friendship or, you know, anything along those lines. And I really like that episode, and there's things about that episode that you won't notice until like your second time watching it. And then the Zuko Alone episode, season 2, episode 7. In my opinion, the Zuko Alone episode is like the real solid start to Zuko's redemption. Let me explain. The plot of Zuko Alone is that Zuko thinks that he'd be better off without Iroh, his uncle. So, because they're like fighting or something. Because Iroh gives him a really, really valid speech.
I know my own destiny, Uncle.
Is it your own destiny? Or is it a destiny someone else has tried to force on you?
Stop it, Uncle. I have to do this.
I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
Ah!
And then Zuko is like, you're right and that scares me, so I'm gonna leave. Like, he doesn't say that, but, like, we can infer. So he thinks he'd be better off without him, so he goes off on his own. And during this, he decides not to take food from a man and his pregnant wife. And then he takes the blame for 2 young boys who, like, they're, like, messing around with this, like, Fire Nation soldier or whatever that's in the Earth King, like, in their little Earth Kingdom place. And Zuko takes the blame for them instead of ratting them out. And then he runs into a young boy and his mother, and this is, like, the bulk of the episode, who give him a meal and let him stay at their house. And he actually, like, fixes the roof for them, because he's like, I don't want to stay without, like, helping you guys or giving you guys something. So he fixes the roof for them. And then he later stands up to Earth Kingdom soldiers to save this young boy from the soldiers. And then at the end, Zuko is revealed that he is Fire Nation, and the boy and his mother make him leave the village. They're like, I hate you, never speak to me again, go away, you're scum.
Not a step closer. It's yours. You should have it.
No, I hate you.
Which is the hatred that these people have for any Fire Nation person is insane. But anyways, so he leaves. But this episode is so incredibly important to Zuko's redemption, because it is one of the first times that we see him doing things completely selflessly. Like, he has nothing to gain from this, which a lot of his previous actions have been because he has something to gain from it. But that's not why he's doing this. He has nothing to gain from this. I mean, a meal and a place to stay, but, like, he doesn't, I mean, he rejects that at first, and then he, like, goes out of his way to help them so that he can earn that. So, like, he really has nothing to gain from this, but he does it anyway. He does these things not because they benefit him, but because they're the right thing to do. But yeah, all in all, I could go on for ages and ages and ages about Zuko's redemption. Like, I could have an entire video just about Zuko's redemption, which I'm not going to because it'd be a mess. It'd be way too long. But that's not what this video is about. So I'll move on to the ships, which is our next portion. So there's 4 ships that I'm going to talk about in this video. 3 of them are canon in the show, and 1 of them isn't. I'm going to go in order of my least favorite canon ones to my favorite canon ones, and then I'll move on to the one that isn't canon. So starting off, Katara and Aang. They're my least favorite canon ship. I'm sorry, but I just don't like them together. I personally think that Aang would have been better off single. I think that his feelings for Katara were very much just like a childish crush. I feel like Katara viewed him more as like a little brother, and her feelings for him kind of came out of nowhere. I don't have anything against them. Like, I'm not mad that they're together. I'm not gonna, like, riot or anything. I'm not gonna judge people if they do really like them together. They're just not my thing. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of boring. Again, Katara's feelings felt like they came out of nowhere. I feel like, I don't know. I would have loved to see a single Aang and even a single Katara. So, I don't know. And then we have Zuko and Mai, which is, I really like them. Like, no part of me is, like, incredibly rooting for that. Like, I'm not gonna make ship edits of them. But I'm not upset at all that they're endgame. I do really, really like them. I think that they most definitely do love each other a lot.
I guess you just don't know people as well as you think you do. You miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you.
They have, like the best friend's brother and like I hate everyone but you trope, which I usually don't like the I hate everyone but you trope. But I'm not opposed to it in this case. I think with the characters it works. There's a bunch of moments that make their love for each other very, very clear. Like, May is the only person that Zuko gives a letter to before he leaves the Fire Nation to help Aang. And like she has like a picture of the two of them on her door. Like, I do really like them. I think they're sweet together. They're just, again, not like I wouldn't make ship edits for them. Sokka and Suki. I think I actually have made a ship edit for Sokka and Suki. As embarrassing as that is.
Tickets and passports, please.
Is there a problem?
Yeah, I got a problem with you. I've seen your type before. Probably sarcastic, think you're hilarious, and let me guess, you're traveling with the Avatar.
Do I know you?
You mean you don't remember? Maybe you remember this. Mwah.
Suki!
Sokka, it's good to see you.
Sokka and Suki are my favorite couple of this entire show.
Suki, we'll all understand if you break up with him over this.
I think it's sweet. But it doesn't even...
They have all my love. They have so much chemistry. They're literally animated characters, but they have so much chemistry. She's like the reason Sokka stops being a misogynist. They're so pure. Their goals, I want to be them. I want a relationship like theirs. Like, the bi panic that this couple gives me is out of this world. It is not okay. Like, who gave them the right? Who gave them the right? So now it's time for the non-canon couple, which is super, super controversial. People have very mixed opinions about this. Usually, like, typically, they either love this or hate this. So I'm curious to see your guys' opinions. So if you have an opinion, comment, because I'd like to hear what that is, because I know I have my opinion, which I will be sharing. So I feel like I'm gonna get backlash for this because this is such a controversial ship. But I mean, I feel like I'd get backlash either way I went with this. But I actually really, really like this ship. It felt very set up for them to end up together. Like, there were so many times that, like, they hinted at it or, like, whatever, like, including in one episode, Zuko hires a tracker to find Aang, like, by proxy, Katara and Sokka, and it's actually, they're tracking, like, Katara's necklace through, like, scent, because Katara has been with Aang, and all they have is Katara's necklace, and the tracker that Zuko hires repeatedly refers to Katara as Zuko's, girlfriend the entire time that she's tracking them down, like, even afterwards, like, she constantly refers to her as his girlfriend. They go to this fortune teller in an episode, and the fortune teller tells Katara that she will marry a powerful bender, and, like, other things that could apply to Zuko. Like, she asks if he's tall, and we never get an answer to that. But, like, the answer could have been either way, like, Aang or Zuko, but there were other things that could very much apply to Zuko. And then my final argument is the Crystal Catacombs scene, which I'm gonna put this in. I'm just gonna insert the Crystal Catacombs scene.
This is water from the Spirit Oasis at the North Pole. It has special properties, so I've been saving it for something important. I don't know if it would work, but...
If you're telling me that they don't have chemistry after this scene, you're on crack. You're wrong, because Where are your eyeballs? Where are your eyeballs? They could have been such a perfect enemies to lovers.
Let me tell you something right now. You make one step backward, one slip up, give me one reason to think you might hurt Aang, and you won't have to worry about your destiny anymore. Because I'll make sure your destiny ends right then and there. Permanently.
Grumpy X Sunshine combo. And I will die on the Zutara Hill. I love Katara and Zuko together. So, moving on from the ships, because I feel like I've already dug myself a grave. I'm going to talk about some episodes that I want to touch on that I think are noteworthy, since we're doing this one a little different than I will in the future. So the first episode I want to talk about is Jet. So Jet as a concept is all in all pretty weird to me. His character is very odd. I don't know, man. People have a lot of feelings about Jet. Personally, I think he's an interesting character. I do really like him as a character. I remember when I first watched the show with my older brother, like 4 years ago, because he begged me to watch it with him. He told me I was gonna really like Jet, so I went into it with that assumption that I was really gonna like Jet. I thought he was gonna be a really good character, because Brady said that I'd really like him, so I thought Brady really liked him. And then he turned out not that at all. People hate Jet. But I've never really been able to shake off my liking for him. He's a very weird character that doesn't really serve much of a purpose, in my opinion, but, you know, I'm kind of here for it, not gonna lie. I don't know, man. He's such a weird concept. Next is the Painted Lady episode. So the thing that I like about this episode is the attention to detail. This entire show is really good at attention to detail, but this episode does it really well, and I do want to point out specific things in this episode. So basically, this episode, there's like a little Fire Nation village thing on this dock in the water, and I mentioned earlier that Toph sees with her feet on Earth, so she can't see on this dock because it's not like on solid ground. And every time they're on the dock village thing, Toph is holding on to either Sokka or Aang, and I just like it. They did a very good job with attention to detail in that. It's a cool thing to input. This isn't for this episode specifically, but there's another part where he's like, this guy is handing something to Toph to like read, and he hands it to like Sokka, and then Sokka hands it to Aang, and then Aang hands it to Toph, and then Toph hands it to Katara, and then Katara reads it. Because she's blind and she can't read it. But the attention to detail is very good. The next episode that I want to talk about is Sokka's Master. This is a season 3 episode as well. This is probably my favorite episode of the entire show. The premise is that Sokka feels like useless to the group because he can't bend or fight very well. Like, he just has this boomerang that he uses. So he goes on this little like self-discovery mission to figure out where he belongs in the group. And actually how this happens is they're like, let's go shopping. We'll find you a new boomerang to make you feel better, Sokka. You're important to the group. Which is kind of funny. And so they go to this like shop, and then he sees this sword, and he's like, I want to wield a sword. So he decides that he wants to start wielding a sword. So he goes to this sword master, like this, he's like well known for teaching people swordsmanship, and he teaches him how to sword fight, and then they make him a sword, and his sword is so cool. I love this episode because we get to see so much of his, like, personality.
You added a rainbow.
Is that okay?
And also how lost and bored the group is and, like, would be without Sokka. They're all just like, somebody make a joke, somebody be Sokka. They're all so bored without Sokka. I love it. And he also becomes like 10 times more badass once he gets his sword. His sword is made out of like earlier in the episode, which is what like sprung this thought of like I don't belong in the group. They like did this thing with the space rock. I don't feel like explaining it. But so they like had this like space rock thing, and he was like, "Can I make a sword out of earth?" And so he goes and he gets a piece of this space rock, and then they make it into a sword, so it's like black. It's really cool. And then it's so cute because he like kept a piece of the space rock and then gave it to Toph to like play with because it's earth, so she can bend it. I don't know. That was just really cute. Oh, we also get to see Iroh being a badass as per usual, but you know, what's new? Another episode that I want to talk about is the beach episode. So you know an episode is going to be good when it takes place in Ember Island. Ember Island players. This episode follows our little Fire Nation gang of kids, and we get to see Azula being awkward with boys.
That's a sharp outfit, Chan. Careful, you could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. Because it's so sharp.
Which is hilarious, because I guess awkwardness just runs in the family, because there's a scene later in this season of Zuko being very awkward.
There's gotta be someone who can teach him firebending. Hello, Zuko here, but I guess you Hello, Zuko here.
We also get like all of their backstories in this dramatic little like sob story movie moment, and like it's set up kinda for comedy but also like seriousness, and I don't know, it's set up very interesting and weird, but this is a good episode. I really like this episode. Next one is Nightmares and Daydreams. This is like a couple episodes before the like finale set of episodes, because the finale is actually like a set of 4 episodes, but on Netflix it's just merged into like one big long one. So this episode is such a fucking mess. It's great. I love it. Basically, it's 3 days before the big series finale face-off between Aang and Fire Lord Ozai, because, as I kind of keep straying from, they're in a war right now, and the Fire Lord is kind of like initiating it. So it is getting to Aang. He is so nervous, and he keeps having these nightmares about like not being prepared to fight the Fire Lord, and so he stops sleeping to prevent these nightmares, but then him not sleeping leads to him literally hallucinating, like he is having hallucinations, and it's just such a fucking crack show. It's so great. I love it. It's so comedic. Like, the scenes, I feel like I'm in a fever dream.
Your days of tyranny are over, Fire Lord.
Really? You're gonna take me out? You're not even wearing pants.
No, Fire Lord Ozai. You're not wearing pants.
No! My royal parts are showing!
Which is like the point, but it's so funny. It's so fun. I love that episode. And then next, this is the last episode before the big series finale. This is the Ember Island Players episode, which is another one of my favorite episodes. It's probably like Sokka's Master and then Ember Island Players. This episode, just as a whole, is so good. It's very, very close second in my favorite episodes. So it serves as like a recap of all of the previous events, like before we actually get to the final battle episodes.
And Katara was the painted lady, and I got a sword, and I think Combustion Man died. Ooh, look!
It's so fun and funny. Like, it pokes so much fun at itself, which that's one of my favorite things for a show to be able to do.
Did Jet just die? You know, it was really unclear.
I love when it pokes... I love when a show doesn't take itself too crazy seriously and it can poke fun at itself and acknowledge when things are inconsistent or unclear or just fucking wackadoodle.
I can see you doing that. I see everything that you see, except I don't see like you do. I release a sonic wave from my mouth. There. I got a pretty good look at you.
Or even like stereotypes that the characters fit into a little too much, like more than they probably meant to. I have zero complaints about this episode. It's so good. It's literally one of my favorite episodes of any show ever.
Okay, hello. It is me while editing this video. It's been a very long time since I actually filmed this, but I wanted to talk about another episode. It's the Tales of Ba Sing Se. I didn't look up what episode it is, but I'll put it on screen. But I cannot believe that I didn't talk about this one because it's one of the like overall favorites in the fandom, but it's specifically I want to talk about Iroh's part in the Tales of Ba Sing Se, because I took a lot of clips from that and I want to put them in here. So Iroh is Zuko's uncle. It follows Iroh through like this day out in Ba Sing Se, and he encounters like these different people, and it signifies like the stages of life and like raising somebody. First he starts out with like a toddler,
Huge!
and then he goes to a group of like preteen boys, and
Honor.
then there's a young man.
What? What are you talking about?
And he like helps each of them out in a different way. And then at the very end of his little part of this episode, which it's not very long, it's a couple minutes, but and it could be like its own standalone thing. It's very good. It has Iroh setting up like this little like picture and like shrine thing, it's the best way I can describe it, of his son, and he says happy birthday, and then he sings this little song that he sang to the toddler at the start to calm him down.
Birthday, my son. If only I could have helped you.
And we get to see a lot like more about Iroh and why he is the way he is with Zuko specifically. And also it's really emotional because that is one of the last scenes that I can't remember his name. It starts with an M. It'll come up when I put the clip in. But It's one of the last scenes that Iroh's voice actor filmed because he had cancer and was dying. And so, like, you can hear, like, the emotion in his voice.
Brave soldier boy comes marching home.
While he's singing that, and it's just like, it's a very, very good episode, and I cannot believe I didn't talk about it, so I wanted to talk about it. So yes, I'm gonna finish editing because I'm almost done, and this has taken way too long to get out to you guys.
Now we're going to talk about my overall thoughts. We are coming up on the end of this video. Oh my gosh, that is crazy for me to say because I've been working on this for so long. So now comes the part of it where I share some other smaller things that just don't fit into any other categories, or and that I just want to share my general thoughts on the show. So again, with the attention to detail, like the minor background friendship of Toph and the Duke. The Duke is one of Jet's, we talked about Jet earlier, one of Jet's freedom fighters. And we get like little clips of them like interacting and being friends.
Yeah, congratulations, Sokka. You managed to invent a worse way of travel than flying. Helmet?
Well, I just came up...
And it's so cute. It's like very background, but I love it. It's great. The amount of times full-grown adults try to murder actual children, I feel like that should be looked into. Like, Combustion Man, the guys that were going after Toph in season 2, Ozai, like, there's a lot of grown adults, especially grown adult men, trying to kill literal children. It's really fun.
Hello, it's editing Randy again. This will be the last little editing note because I will finish this up. But I wanted to talk about two other things briefly, just because I have clips for them and I want to include them. First, I want to talk about this show's ability to include such great comedy.
All right, I'm Bushi. Let's get some river cleaning done.
Aha! I knew it. I knew you were the same guy. You're the shop owner and the boat guy.
Oh, you must be talking about my brothers, Doc and Shu.
No, I just saw you. You switched hats and called yourself a different name.
Oh, you know who does that? My brother, Doc. He's crazy.
Even, like, while it's a show about fucking war, like, I don't know, it just, it does a very good job at putting a lot of comedic aspect into it.
Oh, Sokka, you saved me. Mwah. Actually, it's me. Oh, well, you can go ahead and let me drown now.
There's a lot of parts that are just weren't necessarily like important to the plot, but it added a lot to it.
Gemstone. Well, don't touch it.
Why not?
Remember what happened out there with those spikes? I'm just very suspicious of giant glowing gems sitting on pedestals.
It feels almost...
Parts that humanize characters that we wouldn't expect that from.
Hey, I'm Quinn Lee. I work up in communications. Oh, hi. I work down in the engine room. That's probably why we never met before. Big airship, you know? Huh? Yep. So, do you know whose birthday it is?
I can't believe the captain remembered my birthday. He really does care.
Happy birthday.
And just a lot of humor in this show.
I'm not tough. I am Melon Lord.
There was a lot of humor, and I really like that.
Oops. Wrong tent.
Sorry. Do you need to talk to Sokka too?
Nope. Not me.
Well, hello. Zuko, yes. Why would I be expecting anyone different? So what's on your mind? Your sister. She hates...
And then the second thing I wanted to talk about is, Azula's... it's something to do with Azula. It's the ending with Azula, and, it's like they split off into groups, and it's, to, like, do different things and help with different things, and, Zuko and Katara are fighting Azula, and when they beat her, the music is very melancholy and downcast, and she has like this breakdown. And it's directly paralleled with Aang fighting the Fire Lord, and he's in like the Avatar state, and it shows all 4 elements, which is super cool. I love the involvement of all 4 elements in that. And that music is like the typical like hero triumphant, like beating the villain music, and Azula's is very like sad because this is not a happy moment. They are not happy to beat her. This is a 14-year-old girl, and I think that just adds a lot to the Azula was never truly evil. She was never a true villain in this show, and they just do a very, very great job at kind of depicting gray areas of things like this, and I really like it. Anyway, I'm getting my tired lisp, so I'm going to finish up this video and then start uploading it, or not uploading it, but start downloading it, and then go to sleep because I have school tomorrow and it's like 11. No, it's later than that. It's like midnight. So, yeah.
But overall, this show is genuinely incredible. I have very, very, very few complaints about it. It's a fairly quick watch. It's not super, super long. But I mean, I binge shows, so I can watch shows very quickly. But in my opinion, it's not a super long watch. I highly, highly recommend this show. So there's the probably unnecessarily lengthy video essay on Avatar: The Last Airbender. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I thank you so much for watching and sticking with me this long. If you have, consider watching Avatar. I love you all so, so much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Mwah.